you are doing it prior to your run, make sure to not overdo the movement because you don't want to fatigue the muscles so they disengage during your actual run. Hey guys, it's Corey from Redefining Strength, and today I want to go over the best running warm-up. I want to share with you 6 moves so that you can mobilize everything from your shoulders to your knees so that you can have an efficient running gait and prevent injury. I know often when we think about warming up for our runs, we think about jogging more slowly or even walking just to start. But it's really key that we include some activation and stretching moves to make sure that we've mobilized the joints and have gotten the correct muscles working. That's why I want to go over 6 different movements that are perfect for a full body warm-up so that you can make sure that everything is functioning correctly so you can be more efficient with your runs and also prevent injury. Exercise number 1 is the bear squat to foot stretch. This is an amazing move to mobilize your feet and your ankles. Your feet and your ankles are your foundation. If you can improve your mobility there, you'll have a more efficient running gait. You can also prevent foot pain such as plantar fasciitis, Achilles issues, shin splints, and even knee and hip aches and pains. To do the stretch, it's best to take off your shoes. You want to flex your toes and sit back on your heels. If you have limited knee flexion, you might not find that you sit back all the way. You want to rock side to side as you try and sit back. Feel the bottom of your feet stretching. You'll then place your hands down on the ground in front of you and lift your butt up towards the ceiling as you drive your heels down towards the ground. This is going to work on your ankle dorsiflexion, or your ability to draw your toes up towards your shins. Really try and drive your heels down to the ground. Don't worry about extending your spine or your upper body. You're focused only on that ankle mobility. After driving your heels down, you're going to lift your hands and sit back on your heels to rock side to side again and stretch out your feet. If you find that you have one ankle or one side that's more locked up, you can even pedal your foot to that side as you hold in that bear squat position. Just remember your feet are your foundation. If we have immobility there, it can affect our efficient running gait and even create aches and pains up our entire body. Exercise number 2 is the Spiderman lunge with rotation. This is a great way to work on not only our spinal rotation, but also our hip mobility. It'll engage our glutes and really warm up our entire core. It's key that we address thoracic immobility because that can impact not only the functioning of our core, but even our arm swing during our running gait. Improving your spinal mobility will help improve your running posture. It can also help your glutes fire more efficiently. To do this move, you want to set up in a plank position. Really brace your core and make sure to engage your upper back to support your shoulders. Step one foot outside the same hand. You'll then lift that hand right inside your foot up towards the ceiling, rotating your chest towards that front leg. Think about engaging your upper back so that you're not just rotating through your shoulder. You want to twist through your entire spine. Squeeze the glute of that back leg to drive your hip into extension. This is a great way to work on your hip mobility as you're improving your spinal mobility. Then step your foot back. Step forward on the other side and rotate the other direction. Make sure that as you're doing this, you're bracing your entire core and not shrugging your shoulders. You want to think about flexing your quads, engaging your glutes, and really engaging your upper back as you twist. It's key that we activate these muscles if we want to move efficiently during our running gait. If you're just starting out, you can do this move off a bench if you don't have as much mobility. Exercise number 3 is the bench hip and quad stretch. This is a great lunge variation to really work on your hip mobility and activate your glutes. It'll also stretch out your quads. This is key if you want to prevent hip, lower back, and even knee aches and pains. This is a great way to also warm up your body because you want to think about using dynamic stretches prior to your run instead of static stretches so that you don't impact your power output at all. To set up for this stretch, place your back foot on a bench. Often when we're trying to stretch our quads, which requires knee flexion, when we go to grab our back foot, we often cramp in our hamstrings. If you find that your hamstrings cramp up, this is a great variation to use as it doesn't require you to pull your heel in towards your butt. Placing your back foot on a bench, you can set up in the half kneeling position. This is a great way to make sure that you can actually engage your glute to drive your hip into extension and that you're stretching not only your hip flexors but also your quads. From this half kneeling position with your back foot up on a bench, you want to drive up to standing. At the top, squeeze your glute and fully stand and extend your legs. Then sink back down. Make sure that as you sink back down into the half kneeling position, you're engaging that back glute to drive your hip into extension. You want to move through a full range of motion so that you're actually activating your glutes and your legs, but also stretching your hip through that full range of motion. Beginners might find that they just start with a lunge off the ground or even their back foot up on a lower bench or box. Make sure that you're really engaging that back glute. You don't want to arch your lower back just to keep your chest up. Exercise number 4 is the IT band stretch. This move is a great way to improve your hip mobility and even address tightness of your TFL and any IT band issues you might have. This stretch is so key because we'll address all those muscles on the side of our body that can create tightness through our IT band, even our peroneal, which is in our lower leg. We want to make sure that we're addressing these muscles so that our ankles, hips, and knees all function correctly during our running gait. To do this move, you want to stand tall and cross one foot in front of the other. You want to think about making sure that your feet are even and that one foot isn't way out in front of the other. You're going to reach overhead, really extending up. Then when you reach down towards the ground, reach back towards the instep of the back foot. Think about really pushing your hip out to the side as you reach down. You should feel a nice stretch all the way down your side as you reach to the ground. Don't try and bend your knees just to reach lower. You really want to feel the stretch down the side of your body. Try and make sure that your feet are even so that you're really driving the back leg straight as you hinge over and push your butt to the side. Think about really displacing your butt to the side or moving laterally as you reach down to stretch the muscles on the side of your body. You don't want to just hinge over. Also, make sure you're not just rounding through your spine. Push your butt back as you hinge. If you're using this move as part of your warm-up, you want to make sure to alternate sides. If you do decide to include it in your cool down as well, you can always hold for a longer static stretch on one side. Exercise number 5 is the crossbody knee to lateral raise. It's really key that we not only work on our hip mobility before our runs, but also activate our glutes. And especially targeting that glute medius is so key. The glute medius improves our hip stability and can help us prevent low back, hip, and even knee aches and pains. It's also commonly underactive, and our hip flexors can often take over. This move is so key to work our hip through a range of motion and also activate that glute medius. To do this move, you can stand up nice and tall and place your hands against a wall to help you stabilize. You can also do this from a hinge position if you really struggle to engage your glutes, placing your hands down on a bench or box in front of you. When you do this move, you want to think about using that glute to lift your leg out to the side. You want to feel your side butt. Don't simply swing your leg open. Also be conscious that you aren't turning your toe up towards the ceiling as you lift your leg to the side. You want to avoid your toe rotating open because this can cause you to overuse your piriformis. You want to make sure that your glute medius is actually working. By even turning your toe down towards the ground, you can help yourself better activate that side butt. It'll also inhibit your TFL if you find that the front side of your hips tend to take over. If you're not sure where you should be feeling this move, place your pointed finger on your hip and your thumb back on your butt. Think about feeling underneath your thumb working as you lift to the side. You'll then want to pull your knee across your body and up towards your opposite elbow. This will engage your abs as well as your hip flexors and quads. This is a great way to really warm up your hips for your running gait. Make sure though, as you draw your knee across your body, you engage those obliques and those abs. Then feel your glute working as you lift your leg out to the side. Don't simply use momentum with this movement. You want to think about this as a mobility drill, but also a way to activate those commonly underactive muscles. Exercise number 6 is the bent over bent knee kickback. This is a great glute max activation move, especially to target those upper glute max fibers. It's a great way to also warm up your abs, hip flexors, and quads and put your hip through a full range of motion, just like you would during your running gait. This is a great unilateral move to correct any imbalances you might have. If you are doing it prior to your run, make sure to not overdo the movement because you don't want to fatigue the muscles so they disengage during your actual run. Just make sure to establish that mind-body connection so that you go into your runs with everything firing. To do this move, you do want to hinge over, placing your hands down on a bench or something in front of you. This hinge position can really help you activate your upper glute max fibers. When you kick back, make sure to drive your heel towards the wall behind you. Don't think about just swinging your leg up higher. You don't want to arch your lower back or allow your lower back to engage. You want to focus on the glute extending the hip. Fight the urge to rotate and keep your hips square as you kick back. Then bend your knee as you bring your leg back forward to tuck your knee in towards your chest. Engage your abs as you tuck your knee in. Don't just perform hip flexion. Then repeat the movement kicking back. Again, don't get caught up in using momentum to just make the movement bigger. You want to really focus on your glutes driving the movements as well as your abs. This is a great way to improve your hip mobility and stability in a way that will help you correct imbalances so that you have a more efficient running gait. Using these 6 moves, you can create a great warm-up for your runs that will help you not only prevent injury, but have a more efficient running gait. If you need an idea to help you combine these moves for an efficient running warm-up, check out the video description. If you liked the video, make sure to like it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe. We're posting new videos each week.